games with you, give you some live feedback, and hopefully improve your games as we get ready to launch the metaverse and get into pre-season 0 of the Sandbox game. My name is Joseph Maddock, and as everyone gets into the chat, I'd like to talk to you about the pre-season 0 event announcement that was made on December 22nd. Over on our medium.com, you can read this article if you're interested in it. The Sandbox's first public alpha version is coming. With that, many changes. Not all of them have been announced. In fact, very few of the changes have been publicly announced at this point. So look forward to more of that coming soon. But one second, I gotta verify really quickly that everything is up and going, because I'm not seeing anybody in the chat. Oh, Roy Goop came in. Hi, Roy. Thank you for messaging in the chat there. It's very helpful for me to know that it's online and ready and good to go. All right, so in the preseason 0 event, officially slated for Q1 2021, players will get a first touch on the play-to-earn system, paving the way for Season 1 and future seasons of the metaverse gameplay. In that, you can expect some play-to-earn mechanics, including a 15-day event where players can earn sand in prizes, as well as other exclusive prizes, including NFT assets, during our alpha preseason 0 test. Hello, everyone. Hi, Brian, over there on YouTube. Very good. So it's going to be packed with more than 40 exclusive experiences, including dozens of hours of fun and challenging playtime, mixing up some social hubs, faction-specific levels, user-generated content games from the gallery, or the Game Maker Fund as well. So typically on Wednesdays, what we do is we go through the games that you have submitted into the gallery in the current version 0.3.7. Right, 0.3.7. So the games in the gallery may, depending on some qualifications, be published into this early test. But we also have a lot of games that are being worked on quietly that you may or may not know about. We share them on our socials. I try to share them more often, such as like a Planet Rift and things like that. And I'm not confirming that Planet Rift is or isn't in this test. I don't know. Actually, I don't know specifically, but I'd be very excited if they were, because they've got some interesting things going on, along with many, many, many other games. Just thought of that one off the top of my head. So the first 1,000 users to complete the preseason objectives will be rewarded with 1,000 sand tokens each. So pretty good reward just for playing, having fun, right? 1,000 sand tokens in the last 2 pre-sales has been enough to buy a piece of land. So, you know, just for playing in preseason, you could potentially earn yourself enough to get some land. I don't know exactly what the land prices would be at the full release, but nonetheless, pretty cool. So you can pre-register right now at sandbox.game. And I'll put that link in the chat. Hopefully it goes through. The link is on the Medium article here, but you can see sandbox.game/N for English, maybe other languages as well, whitelist and experiences there. Then we've got a little hype trailer here. That's probably louder than I am, so I'm going to turn it down just a bit for you, just to make sure it didn't blow you out. Sorry about that. So it kind of briefly goes over some of the functions of the metaverse. This video is, I believe, mostly for those folks who aren't like you guys, who have been here every single week, playing it out and having some fun with me. So again, this is listed for Q1. This is not a set in stone date at this time. Expect more specifics on this to come within the next couple of weeks, but this is the only major piece of news since you have last watched a live stream. In fact, I think this was just published a very short while ago yesterday. So if you are new to the project, you can always go to sandbox.game. For free right now, you can use VoxEdit to create assets like the character that you see right there on this hype image. You can use the Game Maker to create games right now and get them ready for the metaverse full proper launch as it's coming soon. More news though. The reason why this is the only piece of news is because there's a ton coming, and it's about to just be bang, bang, bang down the pipeline. So if you're a big fan, you're gonna like the very near future, very, very near future. So, how's everybody doing today? Does anybody have a game in the metaverse that you specifically want to play? Or, sorry, in the gallery that you want to play today? Maybe a game that you created and you want to see some feedback for it. I'm going to go ahead and open up the game capture software after I sign in here in just a second and head over to the gallery. The gallery is not working right now. Oh dear. Okay, that's interesting to me. Okay. So today I'll probably, you know what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do something that I've done in previous streams, but only once. And I'm going to run into the training grounds, I think. Just so that we have some content going on today, and maybe people who are new can learn a few mechanical things. And then just for my own self, I just want to see what became more obvious to me that maybe wasn't before. Because frankly, the first time that I played the training grounds, I had much less understanding of the game maker. Just like, you know, I was basically dropping into this like a regular old Joe. So let me open that up for you here. Game capture. I'm going to turn down that. It's going to search for a game to capture until I'm in it. There we go. In it and ready. Now, Crypto Tech Guru says, reply me. Well, hello. How are you? All right. Want to make sure everybody's all chatted up. Got the Wizzy Santa. Very good. We did distribute all those Wizzy Santas. You know, we tried our best, of course, to go through and make sure that the Wizzy Santas were evenly distributed, that no folks got double. Unfortunately, there were a few situations where, you know, people had multiple usernames, things like that. So it wasn't, you know, we did the best we could. Let's see. The play sound component allows to play a sound from an asset when you interact with it. So let's see if that works properly now. I think that this tutorial was made before there were some updates, so I believe, as I recall, all the play sound options aren't going to, are in need of some work. When an asset dies, you can make it respawn at a certain spot. Hope. All right. So let's see here. I got my last time sand. Let's see. I'm gonna get to the chat real quick here. It says, when were they distributed? Not runner. Sorry, just trying to catch up on the chat here. All right. We've got some death delay descriptions here. It says you could change the death delay of an asset. Okay. Let's interact here with this, I think. Maybe I gotta kill him. Oh yeah, that one was pretty instant. They were all pretty instant. Oh! No, they did disappear at roughly the same time though. I probably should have killed them separately. When an asset dies, it can spawn another one. Okay. So this is the spawner, right? Does the asset trigger the spawner? It did, but in this case, it triggered the asset to be lying down. I believe, if I was to guess, maybe I'll submit a ticket to update this tutorial, because it seems like with our update in logics, it is in need of that. But there will be much more content to be tutorialized here in a very short while. So this guy's invincible. That is to set a trait that you can't die. Okay. Max has functions. All right. The next land sale is not set yet. You may have been here yesterday, maybe the day before. My days kind of melt together these days. Where we had an auction for a UNICEF land sale, and in that auction, it ended up that the 12 by 12 space was auctioned for 700,000 sand, which is astonishing for a lot of different reasons, but most importantly, the money that was raised during that sale went to UNICEF. So, okay, you can see the 3 different properties of this display life bar here. Can be displayed in a different way. It says display life bar 1, no actual life bar, right? Display life bar 2, it pops in only when it takes damage and disappears. And then display life bar 3, always on, right? So that's definitely possible in the game maker there. Going to bed as the high bidder for 210,000 sand. No, I didn't lose sleep. I woke back up. So, living in the US, that time frame that we typically do land sales for me, and it was right along the same time frame. The end of the auction was 5 a.m. my time. So I ended up going to bed. I woke up at like 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, something like that, and essentially got to work. Sharing about it, being excited about it on Twitter. That's kind of part of what I do, right? Obviously managing the Telegram chats and the Discord chats and that sort of thing, sharing it, talking about it, hyping it up, being excited for the progress, because that sale, like I said, it means a lot of different things. It kind of says, first off, it could be, and I don't know, but it could be that an auction style format, which has been asked for by the community, could be a good way to do a land sale to avoid the kind of lag-based situations that we dealt with 2 pre-sales ago, right? In the first launch of pre-sale 4.3, and we worked on that, and it was much better for the last pre-sale, but there's still opportunity for growth, right? And we're thinking about ways that we could possibly do things differently. So if it's an auction-based format, where we have a block of land selling and what have you, but not just a single 12 by 12 parcel, but many parcels, right? That could definitely be something that we do. I don't know specifically if that's a plan, but it's a possibility, and it shows that possibility. Not only that, but the auction itself did again, it was raised for UNICEF, right, for kids. So okay, let's see if Max regens that health there really quick. I believe it was stated that he could regenerate the health. So. Oh, I could kill him with the button. Okay, interesting. It also slightly hurt me. Yes, Cody, that may be true. The YouTube video. 1 second. Well, I check that. I want to make sure that so you heard me mention that we're very close. So that's how close we are. But I won't go into it. Because an asset can be invincible. We've kind of dealt with that before. Let me read this card. You can display a win or defeat pop-up when you interact with a button. Green for victory, purple for defeat. Victory. Very good. Let's restart that. Purple would be defeat if you interact with a button. So these buttons here, the functionality of these buttons is pretty simple, I think, right? If you had a maze or puzzle where you were like, oh, doing things in the right sequence gets you a victory. You could have the victory or defeat buttons lead you down certain paths, or you could have them lead you down multiple paths where, you know, if it was kind of a puzzle-based game where it was maybe quizzes or mystery or things like that, you could use buttons like these, which are simple victory and defeat buttons. You could use them in another way where they're like door openers, right? So you'd have a multi-branching tree of possibilities of yes and no's that can get you, um, you know, failures or succeeds that way. Um, can we build your own characters like a Bender from Futurama? Okay, you cannot, or you can't build copyright protected characters in that you have to get permission, right? Even when we were producing the assets for the last pre-sale and we had the Smurfs assets, we have to get permission from the creator of the original IP in order to do that. And so that IP meaning individual property. So if you want to make Minecraft Steve, you have to reach out to Microsoft and say, hey, may I create this character in this other world? Nintendo is notorious for shutting down your game if you have a Pikachu in it or a Mario, right? There have been countless homebrew Pokemon games, in as an example, you know, that have been shut down retroactively, you know, with claims of a potential lawsuit if you don't. So you could make Bender from Futurama if you have permission. If you did get permission, then it would be officially licensed and they would have some specific branding requirements and you'd have to send them samples before you could publish it, etc. But if you do all those things, then you have something that's probably worth quite a lot of money. If you make something that's very similar and isn't called Bender, then there's a certain, and you'll want to look into the details of this, but there's a certain copyright protection for you as an artist, and this is region specific all around the world, that you can say, hey, this isn't Bender, this is Fender, and maybe it's a parody or something like that, and so there's ways to create something that's similar but not the same. That you could, you know, we have like, I think in the Game Maker we have like Science Man or something like that already as an asset that you can get, and it looks very similar to Rick and Morty asset, where, you know, you get the idea. It's Science Man, it's not Rick Sanchez from the show there. So, but they don't look similar enough, just kind of like it has the same hair color and it wears a white coat. So obviously, you know, it gives you the feeling. Let's see here. Yeah, Aloe, it's difficult to get someone to respond at a large company, but not impossible. I can tell you that when I first started as a, let me see. Oh, okay. You can set, this tutorial talks about how you can set different offsets to how you pick up an asset. So when you program it, you can set specifically how close it is to the character, if it's going to be really low, really high, etc. When you pick it up, you can see that this is quite far away from me, this like sort of mailbox or what have you, where this is relatively close. So if you want to make it seem like you're carrying something, pay attention to the offset based on the kind of the hitbox of the object. You know, if you have a very large hitbox on your asset that you created, or a lot of like airspace, you might want to make it so that your proximity is closer if you want your character to appear like they are actively carrying the object. So that's something to consider. Excuse me. Wizzy is clearly a Gandalf knockoff. No way. There's so many wizards. I think if I was to say that Wizzy is close to anything, it would probably be, I think it's Fantasia? Maybe not. No, maybe that's just Mickey Mouse in that. There was, you know, it's a really classic wizard look, right? It's the blue robes. The only difference with these blue robes being that there's not like stars and moons all over it, right? And that's a change that I kind of tried to make when working with Alex on the Santa Wizzy asset, was that, let me read this here. You can heal or damage an asset by sending a message. Oh, that's the heal button. That's not going to work. Oh, okay. I hurt myself. But that's still sending the message. And you can heal up with that button. So that's pretty cool. So let's see here. Clearly a Merlin knockoff. Yes, fair enough. That's smart. That's smart right there. You can also display it by interacting with an asset on the right panel. Oh, there we go. Okay. Let's see if I can turn it back off. No, you can't. Initially, when you walk up to these posters, both are gray and neither has an image. And then you can set this to turn on the image in the same way you kind of turn on a television. Excuse me. All right, let's see here. You can define different climbing speeds depending on the asset. Climbing at normal speed. Climb 1. Climbing pretty slowly, which makes sense because it's the side of a building. Climbing super fast because it's a ladder. I don't know. All right. Get that parkour. If you've watched these streams before, you know I'm notoriously bad at jumping from floating object to another floating object. Birds can fly in a defined zone at a certain speed. And some of these are being updated. One of the cool things about the bird asset that has been used in the past is folks have used this, and there's always something about these functions that gets adjusted and tweaked so that you can, use them in your own way. I've seen folks take the wings off of birds, essentially, redesign it, and now it's a fish. And they put it down under the water with this flying animation in motion, right? So that's been a pretty interesting thing to do. Basic platforms can move vertically with a certain speed and horizontally with a certain speed. These being defined by users. So this is very commonly used when you see kind of jump puzzle style events. I have mentioned that I'm notoriously bad at jumping from platform to platform and showcased it right there just then. So that's it's been a lot of fun. How's it going, Damon? How are you? Oh, it's a spawner. Interesting. So I pushed the button and I created an asset. I'm intrigued by the fact that, oh, there's probably already an asset there, but it didn't load. Or, okay. So what's happening in this tutorial right here, right, is you can push this button and it gets the watermelons to spawn, right? Back here. I think that's watermelon. It looks like it. But there's an asset spawner right here. So the button is sending a message to asset spawner object that's under me. Typically, when you make this tutorial in a real game, you want to make sure that your asset spawner has a no collision function turned on for it, so that your character has no idea that it's there. It's invisible, no collision, you can just run through it. Now what that does, if you have too many of these, this can be somewhat taxing on a slower computer. But the asset spawner being invisible and no collision, you know, it's a ghost. You have no idea it's ever there, and you just run through it. And then when you spawn things with a button or some other function, the asset spawner will spawn it, and it won't feel like, you won't get this weird hitbox where your characters can fly. They'll just actually be able to run through it instead of colliding with it. Christmas is canceled. Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, I heard in the UK that you guys are dealing with sort of an enhanced version of the virus now. Like, the infection rate is something like twice as high. So stay safe out there. You know, it's upsetting, you know, in a way that that you're, of course, having to stay, you know, at home with whomever's in your home and just have that sort of Christmas, because it's not necessarily traditional for those folks who celebrate Christmas. But you know, at the end of the day, that means that you're going to be able to have next Christmas, right? So that's important, especially for those folks who have older family members. You know, you want to keep them safe with a double infection rate on that virus. So let's see what happened here. You can interact with an asset to replace it with another asset, like that. Okay. And then in this case, when I push the button, you can also replace an asset when it receives a message. So the thing that I'm looking forward to, and I think that this will be a game changer, and I'm hoping to. I actually haven't gone through the game maker and tried to figure out if I can make this work now. But one day, I hope that this function of replace asset also works with replace avatar. It's a trait I honestly haven't given this feedback to anybody on the team, but when I'm playing an old school game, I don't know how most folks probably aren't as old as I am in the chat, but the back when the Sega Genesis launched, there was a game that came with the Sega Genesis called Altered Beast. And it seems like the kind of game that would be great as like an early level developer to make or remake in the sandbox. In that, after you've vanquished a few enemies, you could you collect orbs, and once you got these 3 floating orbs, you would transform, and your avatar in that game would change from a regular human with just punching to this like werewolf thing that punched and their fist punched with fire. It would require replacing the entire avatar asset with another that was fully animated avatar asset. So it would be interesting to see this function, if it could be, and again, I haven't tested to see if it's really possible with a lot of work right now to replace an avatar with an avatar after a certain set of functions. Right now, I know that's not the team's focus if I was just to think hard about the meetings that we've had in the background, but I'm interested to see that in the future. That's going to be one of my favorite little workarounds. If I see a community developer, if you're out there and you're watching this and you think that you have the skills to make that happen, I would definitely share how that's done here, and or you could definitely leverage that to get quite a lot of people playing your games. A healer detects wounded specific targets within their range, and then they heal that target automatically. So let's see if I can't go take some damage. Ground Predator, come here. Come here. I'm tasty food. Come and get me. Come on. What are you doing? Oh, the Ground Predator doesn't consider me food, so I believe either I bet you the Ground Predator already ate all the prey. If I reset this experience, I'll bet you they're over here with some. Yep. Here they go. Killing again. Look at that. So you can set the ground predator function on any, I guess predator is the easiest thing to say, but any creature that you have that you want to attack ground prey. Right. So a key function of the predator behavior is that if it's full, which it will have a kind of hidden food meter, then it's not interested in killing, right? So you could, if you wanted it to feel like a natural ecosystem, you could create a ground predator with a very slow eating time, and then ground prey with a relatively slow spawner time, and make that happen. So first form today. You know what? You're right. I didn't prepare them because I was thinking to myself, what a wonderful world. I'm just kidding. Let me real quick. I can make a copy of this. Copy of. I'm going to change it. I was so excited to get in here and start talking about all the potential things that we can do. Okay, let me see. Boop. I have created a new form. And I am going to get a link to that form. 1 second. Really quickly. And go to my chat. Go to the chat. So, thanks to the lovely folks in the community here, The link that I've just provided is a link to win 100 sand for watching this live stream here today. It doesn't automatically win. This gives you eligibility, however. And before the end of this stream, I'm going to roll for it, and we will pick 3 different winners from 3 different forms, just so that we can be sure that the folks who are here are genuinely here, genuinely responding, kind of interacting, and helping us build a better community over time. So the function of these live streams here on Wednesdays is to help folks who maybe haven't developed their skills in the sandbox to develop those skills, to help make better games, make and publish more and better content in the metaverse, or at this time in the gallery of the game maker. And so you can see as I've been running around, I've been trying to explore briefly, excuse me, some of the functions of the Sandbox game maker. So you can see the farmer here collects specific assets in a defined zone. They collect every certain number of seconds. Excuse me, it's still fairly early for me. So they'll collect the assets, and if I reset, I should be able to see that farmer over here. Ground prey got the kill again. Typically, what you'd want to do with a farmer if they were going to collect a certain asset is that you would, again, create a spawner, probably transparent, probably one you could walk through, that would spawn the asset that the farmer is set to collect. Excuse me, question behavior. I'm going to reset this again. When you speak to the question behavior, you get a question. Right? So this is a pretty common feature that you're going to see in all the games, and something that's essential to a game experience at this time, which is the name of the person, place, or thing that you are talking to is going to be here in the top left, and then the text, and you can customize each of these things here, and then again customize the answers. At this time, these boxes that fill the space are fixed, they're not responsive boxes. So this is some feedback that we intend to fix in the long term. So if it said like Farmer Joe the Redeemer, then this white box would eventually be intended to stretch along the side so that it all fits nicely and pretty later on. But right now, these are very good usable functions. And again, depending on what the answers are, answers can set triggers with some advanced features, as it did just there. So when I said give me an egg, sure enough, spawned the egg. There's an ally fighter. I have triggered the ally fighter. I'm going to go over here to the healer, and the healer can have a heal function. So in some of the battles that we've seen in some of the games that have been produced here in the gallery in the game maker, I know I jumped into one game where for the last game jam that we had, you spawned into a fight on top of a castle wall. And there were a bunch of predators and ally fighters and etc. And they were just in an all-out war. And you, as a character, had one healer in that game. That the healer told you kind of, as I recall, where to go. And then the healer kind of was on follow with you. And you were able to go out and get through the fight because you had the healer, whereas everything else was essentially decimated in that. So Citizen Command simply will just walk. They're hanging out, they're walking around. You could have a speech command with them, but a citizen could be attacked by a predator in this case. So let me go ahead and see if I can't climb this. I'm not sure if I can or not. There we go. Looks like I can. These are some moving platforms. Oh, I double-clicked forward. Tapped shift correction. So if you hold shift in the game, you can run, right? But if you just tap it, you will oh, maybe I should go that way. See what that button's doing. If you just tap it, you will roll on your face. So you can very easily roll off of a jump puzzle or something like that. All right. 1 second here. I've got 115 responses to the first form. So I'm going to jump right into copying this form. I'm going to make another one because we are a little bit later here. So let's see. Number 2. Got form number 2 ready for you. And it says number 3 on the form. Ironic. I didn't change the last form. It still said number 3 in the title. I fixed that now. I was in a rush. This morning. So let's get a little link for that one. I'm going to copy it. I'm not going to send it yet, but I'm going to get it ready. I want to make sure that we're ahead of the curve on this. All right, so we come over here. This button. The button doesn't have a function. Who programmed this region? What were you do? I bet you these were supposed to be some more detailed tutorials, something a little more full of world elements. What's the function that picks up an item? Sure. The basic action button will pick up an item if an item is set to pickable. Or interactable, depending on what function you want to use it for. So there are some items in the world that are set to pickable. As I recall, it's kind of like a farming function. And then there are objects that can be picked up. And this is a void function, but the void function looks like this needs to be reprogrammed. I think I'm going to submit a ticket after this live stream. Because if you watched this live stream last time, this tutorial is supposed to, and maybe it's because I need to reset it. I'll bet you I just need to reset it to make this work. But it seems to be breaking quite a bit, so I would almost say that it should be remade from scratch. Yeah, there we go. So you can specify which asset or block is destroyed by the behavior. But essentially the E to interact function would pick up an object if that is the case. You can see there the void function, when I interacted with it, did void the objects that were destructible in this case. It can also destroy assets in the zone. Specific assets or assets in the zone. And this is not working again. So yeah, I'm going to have them. I think I'm going to have someone try to review this again, or maybe update it so that we can have a proper tutorial zone. You can see that destroyed the assets in the zone. That was what was supposed to happen. It was supposed to destroy everything, but not necessarily me, the character. Let's see what I can do here. And then this void asset hopefully doesn't kill me. There we go. And it destroyed the blocks. And that was accurate. Then there's block spawner, which when you click it spawns in new blocks. You can use this to spawn in blocks not just on top of you, but also yeah, and void, that's what I'm saying, right? Like but the void functions there, they don't have to be iffy, is kind of what I'm getting at. So there's another block spawner that appears to have already done it. And you can, I think you can see how yeah, you can see how old this tutorial is, because this particular sign says that this block spawner is mainly used to create waterfalls, but liquids won't be ready for version 0.1. And we're getting ready to jump into 0.4 now. So there's quite a bit of changes that have happened here that I'll bet you if this tutorial zone was remade, first of all, it would have to be twice as large. And then secondly, it would be much more fluid for this So it may recruit some folks to help make a new one of these. So you can adjust the damage received by a block on each asset, and you can see that the demon is taking damage. Lava blocks deal damage. You can see I took damage for touching it, taking damage on a timed tick. Now you can see you can deal damage to any asset with any block, not restricted to lava. You can make any asset damaging if you like. But in this case, it's not damaging to the avatar. I believe it's supposed to be damaging to the avatar, so I would venture to say we should reset this again, but we'll see. Water blocks allow you to swim. The function of swimming isn't included, so in terms of swimming, it is a block that you can phase through. I would advise that you use just a water block for the water function, unless you want to create a secret in your level where maybe there's like a door here in the middle of the wall and you could just walk through that door. So let's see. Yeah, Cody, we're really not going to go into that. So let's see here. I've got another code for you here in the chat if you all want to go to the second form. I'm going to roll for all three of these at the end of the stream so that you all know. And then I'm going to roll for one of the three winners will also win a Wizzy NFT asset. All right, one sec. Okay, so let's get back into this here. Behaviors are on this side. On the other side, it is not advertised. Let's read what this deer was all about. I'm pretty sure that the deer eats the grass. Ground herbivores eat specific assets within a defined range. That is why almost all of the grass is gone in this area. Because as the deer hunger meter hits a lower level, it will want to go for the asset that's within its viewable range. And then again, it runs kind of in the region. It doesn't mean much, Roy. I noticed that it said number 3. I changed it back to say number 1. That's mostly just for me anyway. I submitted it based off of a copy of one from 1212. Which I think it still actually says 1212 on it. It does. Both of them do. But it doesn't matter so much that it says those things as long as I know which one is which when I get back to it. I'm going to edit the titles here really quickly on those as well. Let's see here. All right, this asset here, a plant can be destroyed by receiving a message. Push the button to destroy the green ones. Right. There we go. And it only destroyed the green ones in the same way that the herbivore could eat them. You can interact with the plant to destroy it manually. And that would be true whether it's a plant or not. You can make it so you can interact with objects to destroy them in the game maker. And this is just a basic, relatively basic function. Again, I think that the most usable function for that would be like pushing E, walking up and making something go away, would be for like a secret door, maybe to go to another portion of a level. But I would recommend that if you were going to make true secrets that don't have obvious banners for quests and things like that to go find them, that those true secrets be alongside quests that are side quests, right? So when you make your game, you're going to have your main quest. I assume everybody will make a proper main quest somewhere along like any other RPG that one makes. But if you make it having true proper secrets where you would want to walk up, interact with, and have that object disappear, you would probably want to make it so that you have other side quests that give you a reason to go searching. And you could always make them like chain into each other in a way, like if, let's say that it was find the 10 coins or something in your world as a side quest, and people found 9. But number 10 was behind a hidden door, and when you opened the hidden door, it activated another side quest. the gold coin could potentially be in there, coin number 10, and side quest number 2 could be in that hidden space. So this function that you see here in the tutorial that said that grass or any other plant to destroy it, you can make interactable destructions in various ways with the game maker, but making sure that it doesn't have, if possible, the action pop up, or maybe it does, and it's just something where someone's walking by and they think, whoa, that's interesting, and they push the button and find this little secret. That could be a compelling way to expand your game, and it's also an easy way to use up space that may otherwise be dead, like a hillside space or underground that you may not already be using. Gives you reason to expand in that way. Yes, absolutely. That's what I'm saying, right? Any RPG game that you play, typically that is the way, where you have that 100 hours of playing side quests. The typical trope being like in a game like a Skyrim, you run around, you do all the side quests, then you come back to the first, the first mission or the first boss, and you're like, I am so strong right now, no worries. So that's that's definitely something that you could do. So it's only we got about 15 more minutes, so in about 5 or so I'll do the third form for another 100 sand here today. So if you are waiting interested for that, I'll do that there soon, and then right at the end of the stream I'm going to draw for all 3. I gotta grab some dice. Where's my bag? I got it right here, little guy today, and we'll roll for it. Having over 100 responses means that I'm going to have to roll a sufficient number of dice to get there. So maybe I'll just get an RNG number generator for that. That way I want to make sure there's equal odds of getting number 1 as there is getting number 110. So I'll work with that on the fly, get a little RNG generator here. This here says a button sends messages that can trigger different events within a range. You can see the 2 different events. One was transform this object. The second one was spawn the 3rd log object there. Depending on what the different assets were that were there, the one button can trigger both of them. So that's pretty cool. You can see here that you can broadcast a message only once to avoid the door to open and close every time. Pick the key up on the left. And a message broadcaster can also continuously send a message from an object at a defined frequency. So we've talked about this lots of times, but if you don't know how to make a door open with a key or a similar other object, once you complete it, you get in within a certain proximity, you can actually open up the tutorial in the game maker to see the logic that's happening between the object gold key and the door. Still says locked. There we go. You got to get it within a certain proximity in order for it to work properly, but the door will open based on the proximity that you set for the gold key object. So yeah, moose. Moose are huge. Oh, got chased out of the woods by a moose? Yeah, so I don't currently live there now, but I am originally from Alaska in the US. Very large region. There are very large moose there. They're larger than your sport utility vehicle. Your big truck, your big SUV. They are huge. And they do not care that you exist. A moose will run you down. And they're very aggressive and territorial. So, we call them prey in the sandbox right now, but you could very well set this little critter right here as a predator instead of a ground herbivore, and it would act as a moose if you redesigned it, because that's what I feel moose are essentially. They're very territorial. They'll come and get you. All right. So today is obviously it's a little different than what I normally would like to do on a Wednesday, but as we alluded to earlier, we are very, 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 very so close to updating the platforms. So there's no official announcement on this yet. So I can't give you an official announcement on dates, times, when these updates are coming and going. But typically, when you see those things on the back end where you can't access the gallery, that means that the team is working hard to bring you a better, higher quality product. So I'm going to go ahead and create one more form right now, and we'll make the last bit of this stream here exclusively dice rolling and chatting. So if you want to leave a question and answer section here right now, go ahead and ask me anything, and I will answer it to the best of my, I want to say the best of my allowance. As long as I can answer it, I will answer it. And in the meantime, I'm going to create a new form URL for you folks to fill out and get some more sand eligibility, so that we'll do the number 3 right here. Purple Lioness, we do things a little differently than we have in the past. Thank you for coming. I know that it's probably a bit late for you, as it is early, roughly, for me. I know that somewhere around midnight my time, Purple Lioness was just getting back online yesterday. So, okay, let's see here. Do you have protocols for people purposely trying to lag the game out on their land? Yes, simple enough protocol. If somebody publishes a game to the metaverse that would intentionally crash or harm your hardware or PC, then report that. We will have a system in place with the release of the marketplace in the public and the metaverse in the public, whereby you can report as a user. Reporting would have a very small sand cost, but will reward any legitimate reports. Get rewarded with sand. You get your original sand back and excessive sand back, right? So as a thank you for helping keep a safe, usable, appropriate community, we will reward you for doing those things. So let's see here. Yes, Roy, I find it very interesting. I noticed that some folks did get multiple Wizzy. However, they did it by nefarious means. I personally went and reviewed all of the addresses to make sure there were not duplicate addresses, and usernames to make sure there weren't duplicate usernames. Some names I saw submit to forums multiple times, and I recognized those names. I was a bit disappointed to see that, but nonetheless, I understand that folks are excited. They want to get the assets. So some people will try to do anything that they can to get a hold of those assets. This is a good problem to have, because it means that we are in high demand, right? So let's see here. Can we visit each other's lands? Yeah, try hard or train hard, play harder. We can visit each other's lands in a sense right now. If you want someone to visit your game, and typically you're going to see this here on Wednesdays. It just happens that we are updating the back end for this right now. If you want someone to visit your game, publish the game to the gallery, and then you can say, go visit my game. This is the name of it. I encourage people to send me over on Twitter at TheVisionEX. Send me the name of your game. If you want to see me play it here, I will play it, and we will talk about the good and the bad and the ugly about your game. The things that I think, in my opinion, as a former game reviewer, can help your games get more audience. The intent is that I want people, whether they are 10 years old or 100 years old, to want to play your games on repeat as often as possible and share those games because they had a good time. So if you want to share those things with me after you publish it, then yeah, absolutely you can play. You can play on each other's lands in that way in the gallery. World of World allow linking to websites from the plot. Not initially, but yes, eventually. So you'll notice that right now, if you're using the Game Maker, it's very easy. It's drop-down menus and it's clicks, and in fact, it's going to get even easier and you're going to find out more about that as we start announcing the features from 0.4. But the intention is that we make the easiest possible platform to create games with first, and then we start adding in visual scripting, and then later on in development, proper scripting. So linking to websites, linking to forums, linking to all of those sorts of things will be possible in the future, but it's just not now, as we're not even to version 1.0. And I think after that, you're going to start to see those more advanced traits come in. I can't confirm when they will come in, but I do know that it is on the roadmap, very much an understood feature that folks want. And initially, I would venture a guess that we want to test that with and for Binance. You've seen, probably if you've been on the map on the metaverse on the website sandbox.game, there are large plots with Binance. And Binance's initial mindset, as far as I understand, is that they want you to be able to trade sand tokens with all of their trading pairs without having to leave the game. So that will require some advanced scripting, and we'll see where that goes in the future. How long that takes to flesh out, I'm not sure, but I know that they're confident that we're going to get there. Of course, we're confident that we'll get there. So look forward to that as we go later. Are there several servers for each land if there are too many people? Yes, there are. We have, for social hubs and multiplayer experiences right now, we are hosting those in a, forgive the term, but I would say more centralized way to host the servers. However, they are all over the world where we are testing them. So we have some servers that are set up in the Asia region. We've got them in South America, North America, and Europe at this time. Those are expanding with demand as we go. However, I think you'll notice that in the first wave of games that you're going to be experiencing them similar to the way that you experiencing them in the gallery now, where there will be some that are pegged as social, and then there will be others that are pegged as individual. So social games will be set on those servers, and then individual is you loading the logic using the game maker or using any other tool that may be available, and then playing it like it's any other single player experience initially. Let's see here. What if a few people report the same one? That's not a big deal. Honestly, if multiple people, this is a throwback to a question we had just a little bit ago. If multiple people reported the same plot or the same asset or the same anything that was a legitimate need for a report, then I would assume we would give a reward to all of those people who reported them because they're being good community members, and there's no reason not to. You want to make sure that the content isn't going to get everything shut down in some respect, right? So if you see Super Mario out there and it's obviously like Nintendo Entertainment System Mario Brothers Mario, you can say, okay, that probably needs to be reported for copyright claim, just so that everybody who uses this asset doesn't get shut down, because you don't want somebody to buy the NFT that got minted or something, and then that game that they're using the NFT in gets turned off. That would be no fun for anyone. So you want to make sure that those kinds of contents, and of course there's inappropriate contents, right? And like we'll get a feel for what the age appropriateness of the sandbox is as things flesh out over time. But for the most part, I think it's going to be obvious when you report those things. So which Windows version is needed right now? I believe that the slow or oldest version of Windows that you could use for this needs to have x80 or x64 or 64-bit architecture on an x86 processor. So that would be Windows XP, but not the 32-bit version or newer. But that has to do a lot more with the performance of the PC. I would doubt that, at least at this time, it probably wouldn't run terribly efficiently on a Windows XP. Can avatars take fall damage? Not yet. But you can make that possible if you wanted to create a world where when they fall, they take damage. You can make it so that the ground level that they could fall in from a hazard just gives them damage when they land, like a lava block. But that's You can't drown either because we don't have a swimming function at this time yet, but that is still intended. Um, Most of the work that the team has been doing in the background, um, they have been working on making the multiplayer functions work. They've been working on making essentially a full revamp of the game maker. So you're going to see a whole bunch of stuff change, and essentially um, everything that I say between now and next week, next month could change depending on. Um, and I know what some of these features are, but I don't. I'm kind of masking it here, smoke screening a little bit. But you'll see some new features coming up. So let's see. Will Sandbox add VR support? It would be really far off on the roadmap if we do. Right? The Sandbox as an IP, the Sandbox started off as a mobile 2D game. The Sandbox Evolution can be downloaded now on Android and iOS. It doesn't use blockchain and it's in 2D, and you can make whatever you want, right? So that will be, as we garnered 40 million downloads for that on mobile, that's the first target. Once we have it working here well on PC and we've got a good functional product, we want to move it to mobile, where we specialize in promoting on mobile, building an audience very quickly, right? So we're going to definitely want to go there first, and then after that, we have plans on the roadmap to go to consoles, which I believe will be quite easy when it comes to like the Xbox Series X, which is essentially a PC, but maybe more difficult for the PlayStation 5. So that development could take a little bit longer than expected, but also in some respects come surprisingly quickly. Um, that's just again me speculating. I'm not a developer on our team, but do you think at some point a tip bot for Sand will be available in Discord or other platforms? Necro, I don't think that a tip bot would be available, but it's definitely not out of the question. If you are interested in having a tip bot, you could always ask Scott about it so that users can send Sand from one to the other. Just on, again, purely like, hey, I thought that was a cool comment or that was a helpful tutorial. Here's a tip. Absolutely. Scott is always interested in improving our Discord community. So he's kind of like the point man for that. It works for it, not just for the Sandbox 3D here with the blockchain, but also does it for the Sandbox Evolution Discord. So let's see. How long does it take for a noob to make a simple game? Purple Lioness, a simple game can be made pretty quickly. Simple is relative, though. If it's, I would say, a couple of hours, you could have a really good simple game. And it comes down more to having a good idea first. But a simple game is simple, right? If your version of simple game is to save the princess from the castle, right? And or what have you, then you create the castle or download the castle from the marketplace, because right now most folks aren't artists to create the castle and publish it. But now create a castle in your game, right? Create obstacles in the castle. Start outside the castle, mobs here and there, move into the castle, collect person, take them out of castle, proximity based mission complete. You could absolutely do that pretty easily. Can we access the tutorial land from today's stream in the Game Maker? Yes. If you were to simply go to the second tab in the Game Maker, and I'll back out right now so you can see this. Let me reset first. But I'm going to reload the Game Maker really quick. So it's going to say looking for a game to capture. And I am going a little bit long today, so thank you for sticking with me, and I appreciate it. So you can see in the templates, it's actually right there in the templates. And the reason why it's in templates is because there's a lot to know about it. It's not just a training ground in the direct sense, but that when you open it, if you were to make it called training, and you open this, you can actually see the logic in the template section that goes behind it, right? So if I was to click on this block generator and you want to know why does it generate blocks to spawn pebbles, when does it get activated on start. So as soon as I start the game, if my character was turned in the right direction, you would see that this section would instantly spawn a large swath of pebble blocks, right? So there's a whole bunch of different, and then this one here says on receive message. What message do we need to receive in order to spawn stone bricks? That is the interact message. So this tutorial is with intent that you're going to be here in the game maker working on it. You can see when we loaded this in, this asset spawner that would spawn a deer with no behaviors. Normally it's like transparent, right? You can see the physics say no collisions, so you could walk through it when you were in the game properly. You can see the birds here. The birds are listed as a bird, so it has a flying speed, the flying minimum width. It could fly in a circle as small as this, as large as that, right? So this is what you want to do. If you really want to learn about these basic functions of the game maker, just open the training grounds, have a look at it, and then start the game. Press play, see what you did. You know, you're looking at ground prey, ground predator. Okay, that's if you're opening this in the game maker, you're going to see it as the ground prey, ground predator. And then you can reset the experience. You can go back out, you can load it up again, and you can see that. So let's see here. Do 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 do. Let's see here. Is VoxEdit under continuous development? Yes, it is absolutely under continuous development. I know that the right now, as with the game maker being only in currently 0.3.7, VoxEdit is only in update number 6. It's still in the early alpha stages of its own development. While it is a less complicated tool, there are some of the PC hangs that I believe you may be experiencing are purely based on the graphics card taxation that VoxEdit does. So one of the priorities that we have in the longer term is to optimize VoxEdit so that it doesn't build as many vertices. And that might not, right away, that might seem weird because we're working with voxels, so why are there so many vertices? But essentially, what is happening with VoxEdit, as far as I understand, and again, I'm not a developer, this is just my perception as a user, is that the points are being drawn for each voxel that you place, and then they're being filled by the software without being rendered, so that you could zoom in and out to an infinite degree. And so that's pretty taxing on a graphics card. So those creations that you make in VoxEdit, later, I believe this will be optimized and fixed. VoxEdit also is in a way a video editing software, in that you can create your animations inside of VoxEdit from the assets that you have made. So one thing that I think may help the hangs that you're experiencing is to design with construction of the assets in mind. So most of the assets that folks are developing actually have multiple components. When you create an avatar asset, you aren't creating the whole person most of the time. You don't want to do that. You want to start with creating the head and, like plan it out on a notepad. How many voxels will the head be tall? Then move on to torso, upper torso, and build lower torso. And why do you want to build the upper and lower torso? So that when your character swings, moves, bends, they're not just like a whole middle torso voxel block that, you want it to feel more natural. So each one of those things is going to have a component. So you have like rib cage and up, and then you have like a stomach area as another asset piece. So when you build those in VoxEdit, you build that section. And then you come back in VoxEdit and you assemble the parts together so that each one can be rigged and animated differently. So when your character animates a wave, if you want them to wave with fingers, then you need to make a voxel finger block and then make a voxel hand block. Maybe it's a hand and thumb block because you don't care about the thumb moving. That's all well and good, right? And then keep in mind that that's separated from the wrist if you want it to have a wrist. So you make the forearm block and you make the upper arm block all separate so that they can all move separately as a function in your games. So when you edit or when you create with VoxEdit, keep that in mind. That will help your PC hang less, of course. But also, yes, we intend to make it more optimized over time. Just right now, we have more raw features to get functional so that you can have an end product that is as great as possible. So definitely something that is intended, though. Are the servers owned by a Sandbox company? We own some servers for certain functions. Some functions we use CDNs for. So that's I don't work with the web dev team directly. That's just my understanding from multiple conversations that I've had with Sebastian about similar questions of my own. So let's see here. Working on swimming for the character, making hangout land with carnival style minigames. Yeah, swimming isn't ready yet, but swimming will be coming. Yes. So if you were to create a swimming function for a character, like the animation for swimming, again, by the rigging description that I just mentioned for VoxEdit, then that could definitely come in handy. You can also kind of get a workaround with this if you want to, but it would be difficult to control in that you can animate a flight function of a bird and then use it to create avatars that are birds and then program them as such in the game maker. So I think you noticed just a little bit ago that I was playing around with the bird function. So that's that. There are dice today, airdropper. I'm just I want to answer all the questions that come through just to close it up because I felt like today's stream, I was hoping to be able to play some games with you today and give feedback on those games live so you could have a better understanding of how to make games in the game maker. But I've done 3. I think I did 3. Did I do 3, chat? Have I done 3 giveaway forms? I did, yes, because all 3 have responses to them. So all 3 of the primary giveaway forms have been done, and I will roll for those here in just a bit. Let's see here. I have a land and I'm not willing to make a game or anything on it at the moment. Will it remain empty, as in people can enter it and simply do nothing? Yes. That is the case. If you have a land, now keep in mind right now, that won't be the direction. When you enter the metaverse during the upcoming playtest that we announced, I don't want to say things that we haven't announced yet. Most folks don't have to worry about that, right? If you're out on the periphery and you haven't consulted with us right now to have your game be part of the season 0 test season, then that shouldn't be an issue right now. But as it gets in later on, if you own a land and you're not willing to make a game on it at this time, you can rent it to folks who want to make games on it, and they can in turn take the cost of rent and essentially charge sand for folks to play their games on that land. So the game will pay out to the game developer, and then you are getting a sort of a rent for like letting out your land to them. So yeah, it's gonna be really good. Let's see. We need more templates. Aloe, I agree with you. We do need more templates. The same folks who are working on assets regularly would work on those templates. So folks like Alex and the entire artist team, which does consist of quite a few people, they are working on many different uh, things that I can't talk about. So, so we do need more templates. I agree with you on that. That would, I believe, come soon. But I could leave that as a feedback. Let's see here. I don't have land and sand, but I want to be part of the Sandbox game. Yeah, absolutely. The metaverse as it comes, when it releases, you can absolutely play in the Sandbox as a game, right? Initially, the metaverse launch, when it comes as a test, will be available to those folks who own land, from my understanding, and it may expand. But the if you are interested in the Sandbox and you just want to play, you not only can play, but you will be able to play and earn sand just for playing, even as a free user. So as long as you are that is a type of contribution, right? And those people who are playing, if you want to take that playtime later on, and you say, "Hey, I want to develop a game because I'm interested in doing that," you can develop games with the free tools, and you can try to work with landowners to publish a game. And as I just mentioned, maybe use that published game to earn more sand, and then eventually use that sand to buy a land, and you, of course, use the land to earn more sand and become a game developing mogul, if you like, right? So there's a clear and true track to go from just being a player to truly owning and creating in the Sandbox. So if you are interested, I see that. I mean, it's been roughly 10 minutes now, so hopefully you're still in the chat. But yes, you definitely can just play. Not quite yet, but very soon, whether you own assets now or not. So that's very good. Let's see here. Yes, you can definitely do things like sell and rent. Will the Sandbox come with an inbuilt version in the new Atari? So, not Runner, you asked about the new Atari. So the Atari VCS is essentially a PC. If for folks who don't know, the Atari VCS is a Linux-based computer that has a special graphics user interface on it. I have an Atari VCS that will come in the mail eventually, from way back when they did their Indiegogo, I believe, was the program that they used for it, where they raised millions of dollars for folks interested in the Atari VCS. So that the VCS can be changed as you like to also just be a Windows PC. You can change the software on it and run it as a Windows PC with a second OS. You can put in an NVMe SSD on it. And, you know, this isn't necessarily an Atari stream, but they are a partner of ours and we work closely with them. So it is intended that we have the Sandbox metaverse in their library of games. So I don't know the details of that specifically because I'm not Sebastian, and I am not working hand in hand with the CEO of Atari on this. So the let's see here. I see. Okay. Cool. Could we implement a pay what you want model in our games? Like let players play it for free, then ask them to pay what they want at the end between 0 plus sand. That's not a function that I'm aware of, but I believe that that is a function that we would be more than willing to implement. Keep in mind that the system for paying needs to have the marketplace online, right? So this is a couple of steps out when I kind of bring this up, but nonetheless, it is definitely something in our future. So the system for pay what you want, I think, is a great idea because it's essentially a free-to-play system, except it's like a tip, right? Like, you know, folks mentioned TipBot just a few minutes ago. What separates the use of the marketplace from other systems is that if you have money or sand in the marketplace, it would be like having money or sand in Binance.com or a similar exchange, in that when you move it from one user to the other, if it only moves internally, it doesn't necessarily have to move on chain. And so it can happen instantly and with relatively low to no fees. So those, because it's all at the end of the day really never in an individual user's wallet, but they're all in the Sandbox wallet, and the Sandbox would manage, if that was the case. Um, and this is just one possible option. There are actually many different ways to do this, but if that was the case for pay what you want, then you wouldn't have to worry about somebody taking a gas fee for paying you to play the game. And so there are different layer 2 options that are possible as well, where like you could have a very minuscule fee, like a couple of cents if you were using a side chain, things like that. But that's still things that Sebastian and the team are working out on the back end to see what they feel like is the most efficient system, because ultimately the goal of the Sandbox is to be fully and truly decentralized. So as much as we can, we want to avoid those kind of centralization kinds of mindsets, and pay what you want only works most effectively if people can literally give you one sand to play the game, right? Or something like that. Because then they don't have to worry about paying one sand and paying 35 cents for a gas fee, which is more than the sand that they paid you with at the time or what have you. Um, so that's just again, just kind of brainstorming. Let's see. Make PUBG like this. You can absolutely make a PUBG style game in the Game Maker. It's not already yet, because the multiplayer functions aren't widely available, but we do have multiplayer availability with up to 32 users on your 1x1 land space. And 1x1 land is 96 meters by 128 meters tall, so you could make quite a good experience there if that's something that you're interested in doing. So let's see here. Okay. Any thoughts on cloud gaming like Stadia? Sure. Yeah. No, cloud gaming, I think, is a great technology that no one cares about. And that's a very harsh way of me putting that. But I don't know if you all have ever tried it, but there's a game that's similar to Civilization that isn't released yet called Humankind. And they did a closed test on Stadia exclusively just a few weeks ago, right? I played it. You turn the settings up to ultra. As long as you have good internet, it's good to go. But I think that's the crux of it, right? Is a lot of people aren't ready to make the commitment to cloud gaming in the same way that they weren't ready to make a commitment when like the Xbox One, I think it was the Xbox One that launched, and it had announced that you needed internet in order to have the console, and everybody got really mad. Yeah, right. I'm going long today. I don't know if you'd like me to finish up here. I can definitely finish up, but I'm having fun having this kind of AMA session with the community, because normally I don't do this. I just kind of take the top off and talk about anything. But if you have questions about the platform, I want to answer them as much as I can. Let's see. Is it a multiplayer game? Right now, not in this very moment, because the gallery portion is down. But typically, let me restart this Game Maker really quickly. So they are working on upgrading this to the next version right now. So, but typically, if you click the gallery in the featured experiences, you can see a social hub. It's not multiplayer in the sense of like a Call of Duty or something where you're going and attacking each other and things like that and respawning and that stuff. Though I do believe that that's possible. It's not something that is or has been done yet. It is, however, a social hub with multiplayer access, where regardless of where you are in the world, it operates pretty smoothly. I don't see people jumping around and glitching and hitching and those sorts of things when we play in the Paris social hub. So is Sandbox planning to go on BSC? I don't know what BSC is, but that doesn't mean that we're not planning on doing it. Seeing a lot of colleges when I type BSC. Could somebody give me some insight on that? Are the team thinking on marketing? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Again, Dobby, I may have mentioned that we have a very successful Sandbox game that has existed in the past that was not blockchain. So on the Android and iOS, 40 million total downloads of Sandbox Evolution. So we definitely know how to get the word out. We know how to make a successful game of this. And it's all about making sure that the framework is complete, because frankly, you don't want to go out and promote a game as like completed and ready to have giant multiplayer experiences and have a great time with your friends, and then you get into the game and you can only play single player, or you wouldn't want to advertise a game as being one of the most beautiful games of all time, and you go in and it doesn't even work on that platform. Like your character look funny or something like that, right? So you want to make sure that at this point right now, Binance Smart Chain. Okay, thank you. I will. I can neither confirm nor deny anything related to Binance at this time, but it's good insight. Anyway, so back to it. We will definitely be promoting the game. In fact, we have reached out to, and I don't know where but specific leaders of marketing campaigns who had worked in very prominent companies in the past. We, a few weeks back, even if you aren't aware, but I think he's a partner promoter at this time. But we picked up somebody who used to work for, I think it was Universal Music, as the executive vice president. So that's on the back burner. Of course, they are part of the team in like working on partnerships and that sort of thing. But we have things that are ready to go, but it's a matter of making sure that the product is ready to go and that everything is, we want to make sure that the early adopters are exceptionally happy with the product, and then we can go to market with it, right? You never want to release like 0.5 or something and then say like, we're amazing and we're done, and and that sort of thing. So there are definitely ways to do it and a process about it. And I run into this a lot when I'm doing support on our Telegram channel too. Is there are folks who always say like, oh well, why haven't we talked about the next pre-sale, or why haven't we talked about this and that, right? And it comes down to the same thing, that you have to make sure that the process is done correctly to maximize the effectiveness of it, because otherwise we would be taking all the money from the land pre-sale or something that we had earned and put into the program for marketing, and that money would disappear. It would just go off into space, right? And we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that the money that's spent on marketing is effective and returns and keeps folks coming and having these conversations like here on Twitch. So can you guys plan a session where you alter just one template so we can closely see the functions in VoxEdit? Yes, actually. I can't confirm the date of release, but I think that I can confirm that we do intend to have VoxEdit exclusive streams in the future. And we've been having these conversations on the back end for a couple of weeks now. It would be on a different day, so it wouldn't take over the Wednesday stream. It would not take over the Saturday stream, but it would be a new additional stream that focuses on VoxEdit. And when that's ready, I will be joining someone else who will be the showcased voice and face for that. So more details on that coming soon, but yes, VoxEdit, as much as the game maker, needs to be featured. So let's see here. Will the Sandbox come with an inbuilt version in the new Atari? I did already answer that once. Not runner. If you're listening, the Atari is a PC essentially. So yes, you will be able to play the Sandbox on the Atari, but it's Linux based, so you will not be able to use the creator on it unless you reformat the Atari to run Windows, which you can do. Games that hype them up too much always tend to have issues. Yes, of course, there was a recent game that had done that. I don't want to drop any names just because this is an official The Sandbox stream, but if it was me privately on my own stream, you would hear all about it. Will games we make now for PC have to be altered to be played on mobile? No, Purple Lioness, you asked that. I don't believe that the games would have to be altered to play on mobile. So most of the things that happen when it comes to optimization happens on our development team's side, not yours. When you're creating your games, coding, scripting, etc., the assets, it's a lot more taxing in VoxEdit to make an asset than it is to load the asset in the game maker. And I believe with the same respect to that, loading and playing games in the game maker will probably be a lot more intense than playing them on a potential metaverse client or a mobile client, right? Because they're not looking to allow you to also have the ability to edit it as you're clicking play to test it, which the game maker does. It would just be kind of dummy reading code in the background, right? And in the same token, the game maker optimizes the VoxEdit that was building all these excessive numbers of vertices that you never see when it get in the game maker once you render it out into the file name. So that's I don't think that they're going to need to be altered at all, frankly, except maybe playability. You know, I think you'll find that if you pick up a game on a PC and you pick up a game on a mobile, generally speaking, they control a little differently. And so it might not feel as much fun on mobile as it does on PC or vice versa. But when you find that sweet spot, you probably have one of the most successful games that you can. And another thing to keep in mind is that, especially as this is intended to launch as a free game, where you as an individual can choose to charge, most of your users will probably be on mobile at the end of the day, because mobile has 2-to-1, right, globally, users. The market, dollars and cents wise, dramatically more people spend money playing games on mobile than they do on PC or consoles. So there's a lot of different things to think about, and that's certainly something that we can talk about more if you want to explore it, whether it be via the Telegrams, the Discords, the one-to-ones. It could be on Twitter. We could have a chat about it, or here on future Wednesdays. Let's see here. Final Fantasy NFT. I got to tell you, if you can get, well, we have Square Enix on board. So I guess maybe it's not, but it could happen because Square is already a partner of ours. So, at Square Enix, tell them to get on it, because we're already there. Okay. So let's see here. Linux admin, are there any placements in the sandbox? Yeah, there there could be, Samit, but you would have to reach out to the right folks. I am not hiring personnel, so I know that we're always expanding. However, but that said, most of the people, and not all of them, I live in the US. I'm only one of, I think, 3 people who works for the entire company in the United States. We've got bases in Argentina and Paris and Korea and China and, India and those sorts of things. So, oh yes, I don't say mobile. I say mobile. Yes, it's weird. I get it. Let's see here. And yeah. Okay, so let's see. Can I do a video tutorial on how to get that awesome facial hair? Well, I gotta tell you, Infernus, it's not as good as you think. This is hiding. It's hiding a lot of patchiness. So, all right, that sounds like that's it. Now you're all still here and you're waiting and you're wondering to yourselves, but Joe, you did all these giveaways, but you got to do the RNGs on it, right? So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to open this up. I got 131 responses to the first form. I'm going to generate a number 52. Very good. and I'm going to type 52. So the first winner of 100 sand today and eligible to win a Wizzy NFT is Fargoz, Fargoz. I have your Ethereum address already, so Fargoz, if you're watching, congratulations. You have won 100 sand today. Thank you for watching us, and stick with us because you can still win the Wizzy NFT. All right. I'm going to RNG the second one. 124 responses to the second form. I'm generating a code for that, and the number is 43. So we're going to type 43 into this form. I love forms. It's so much easier than before. So the second winner watching on twitch.tv was Sismanth. Sismanth? That is Cismanth. So you have won 100 sand today, and you are eligible to win a Wizzy NFT. This is the blue Wizzy, as Santa Wizzy was limited only to people who were watching in that week. So Wizzy the blue eligibility, and 118 responses to the third form. And I will go to the max on that. I will click generate, and this is user number 53 is the RNG. Was that the same from the first? I don't know. Rips Bank also wins. So, if you are listening right now, Fargoz, Fargoz, you have won 100 sand. Sismaneth has won 100 sand today. And Rips Bank, you have also won 100 sand. All three of you are now eligible to win a Wizzy the Wizard NFT. And I am going to roll for that as well. Who just GG'd Wizzy Holder? That wasn't Wizzy Holder, was it? Wizzy Holder has so many Wizzies. You're limited to only one Wizzy per user, just so we're clear. So those folks, whomever wins today, whoever wins Wizzy, this is it. This is the last one for you. User number 2. Number 2 is the first of the 3, right? Because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. When I roll a d6 on a 6-sided dice. That means user Fargoz, as long as you have never won a Wizzy before. And I will verify the Ethereum wallet address. I will verify the username to make sure that you would be eligible to win. You have not only won 100 sand, but you've also won a Wizzy NFT. So congratulations. Thank you guys all for watching. Thanks for sticking with me and asking all the good questions. I love to answer the good questions. So even while we're in the middle of the stream, if you were to throw those hard questions out there for me, I'll answer them anytime. And of course, I can answer them over on our Telegram chat, our Discord chat. You can ask me over on Twitter. Look forward to so much news coming very soon. I can all but confirm that it is going to happen super quick, and so much news is coming. So look forward to that, and I will see you guys on Saturday. Again, thank you for joining me, and look forward to your sand if you're a winner.